Hello and welcome to another episode of The Word for Kids. I'm Jamie and I'm guiding you through the books of Joshua, Judges, and Ruth in a series of 20 episodes. Last time we talked about a man named Manoah and his wife Zora. They didn't have any children, but the angel of the Lord appeared to Zora and told her she would be pregnant and have a baby boy. She wasn't to eat anything unclean, drink alcohol or fermented drink, or use a razor on his head, because he would be a Nazirite, a person dedicated to God. Zora and Manoah met up with the angel again, offered a goat and a grain offering, and after he ascended into heaven with the flames from their offering, they fell to the ground in fear. But everything the angel said came true. Zora had a son, and they named him Samson. And that's where we left off last time. Are you ready for today's adventure? Let's go! So, in this part of the story, Samson had grown up. He went to Gaza, but the people there were planning to kill him at dawn, which is when the sun comes up. So they laid in wait near the gate. But in the middle of the night, Samson lifted the doors of the city gate and the two posts. He carried them on his shoulders to the top of the hill that faces Hebron. Now, sometime later, he fell in love with a woman named Delilah. But the rulers of the Philistines went to Delilah and said to her, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength, and how we can overpower him, so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver." So Delilah went to Samson and tried to get him to reveal the secret of his strength. Now, let's pause right there for today's word of the day.
Strength. Being physically strong. God gives everyone different gifts, and having great strength was Samson's gift.
The first time Delilah went to Samson, he said, "If anyone ties me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I'll become as weak as any other man." So the Philistine rulers brought her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not been dried, and she tied him with them. As the Philistines hid in another room, she called out to him, and he snapped the bowstrings. She went to him again. "You've made a fool of me. You lied. Come now, tell me the secret of your strength." This time, he told her, "If anyone ties me securely with ropes that have never been used, I'll become as weak as any other man." So she tied him with new ropes, and again the Philistines waited in the other room. Again she called to him, and he snapped the ropes just as he had the bowstrings. Again Delilah came to him, and again she said, "All this time you've been making a fool of me and lying to me. Tell me how you can be tied." Samson answered, "If you weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric on the loom and tighten it with this pin, I'll become as weak as any other man." So while he was sleeping, Delilah took the 7 braids of his head, wove them into the fabric, and tightened it with the pin. Again she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you!" He awoke from his sleep and pulled up the pin and the loom with the fabric. By this time, Delilah was getting very upset. She said to him, "How can you say, 'I love you,' when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you've made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your strength." She nagged him so much that he finally told her everything. "If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me," he said. So while he was asleep, Delilah had someone shave off his 7 braids, and Samson's strength left him. But Samson at first did not know that the Lord had left him. The Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and set him to grinding grain in prison. Samson's hair began to grow again. The Philistine rulers got together to make a sacrifice to Dagon, their god, and to celebrate. They said among themselves, "Our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hands." The people shouted, "Bring out Samson to entertain us." So they called Samson out of the prison, and he performed for them. When they stood him among the pillars, Samson said to his servant, "Put me where I can feel the pillars that support the temple, so that I may lean against them." The temple was full of people, including all the Philistine rulers, and there were about 3,000 people on top of the roof watching Samson. Samson prayed, "Please, God, strengthen me just once more. and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Samson braced himself against the 2 central pillars and said, "Let me die with the Philistines." Then he pushed with all his might, and down came the temple on the rulers and all the people in it. Thus, he killed more when he died than while he lived. At the time of his death, Samson had led Israel for 20 years. And that's where our story ends for today. Now it's time for the verse to remember. Today's verse is Psalm 27:7. "Hear my voice when I call, Lord. Be merciful to me and answer me." One more time. "Hear my voice when I call, Lord. Be merciful to me and answer me." Psalm 27:7. A lot happened in today's story. God gave Samson strength unlike any other human. But when he allowed Delilah to lead him astray, he lost that strength. Later, Samson prayed to God and his strength was restored for a moment. But Samson's choice to reveal the source of his strength still had consequences. In life, we will have people who try to get us to do things we know we shouldn't do. Sometimes they may even nag us until we're exhausted by them and want to just give up. Doing what God asks us to do will not always be the easy way to go through life, but following God will lead to great rewards here on earth and in heaven. That's all the time we have for today. I can't wait to see you again soon for another episode of The Word for Kids.